What is up, guys? I'm Marcel and welcome back to The Modern Filmmaker. In this video, I'm showing you guys how to make a text animation that I call the Modern Decoder Glitch. So today we are diving into Fusion to make a really modern decoder glitch animation for text. And you can use this with video footage or pictures. All these same techniques will still apply in the same exact way, no matter what kind of media you want to add a glitch animation to. So let's go ahead and hop on into Davinci Resolve 16 and get this started. So we're in Davinci Resolve 16 with a brand new project starting from scratch. And the first thing we'll need to do is make a new Fusion composition. You can do this a couple ways. You can go down here to Effects, that's under Toolbox on the left-hand side, Effects, Fusion. You can drag this into your timeline, a new timeline or a timeline that you're already working in, or you can just go to the Media Pool. You can also do this in the Media tab. Go to the Media Pool, right-click, and New Fusion Composition. And then you can set the parameters of what you want the Fusion composition to be, like the frame rate and the duration and the name. I'll change the name to Decoder, and I'll change the duration. Instead of 5, I will go to 10 just to give us a little more room in case we need it. Alright, so I'm excited about this one because there's a lot of really cool techniques that you combine to make this effect that I'm sure you guys will be able to use in other applications. And so to get into this Fusion composition, just double click on it and it'll go ahead and open Fusion. And we'll have nothing here other than our spline window, which I will move over, but I'll leave there because we will be making some keyframes. And then we have our media out. And I will also get rid of the media pool so we have a little more room for our preview windows. And the first thing we're going to start off with is just a plain background. So I'm just going to click on the background here to make sure that the media out is not selected. And then I will click background. And it'll throw one in, not connected to anything. And then I'll add a merge node to the background so we can connect it to the media out. And pretty much this will just be the bottom of our node tree. We'll make quite a few nodes. And just in case I want to replace the background later on, I could simply go to the media pool and drag in some other media if I needed to. Or I could just get rid of the background by changing the alpha to 0. And that way if you don't want a background, you don't have to use it. But this way everything's set up to where if you do want a background, it's there and you don't have to go back and like restructure things. So we can just move forward with kind of a clean slate. And I will right click in this window here in the node window and go to Arrange Tools and Arrange to Grid. This way when we move things around and we make new nodes and place new nodes, they'll already be on the grid. So if we make a bunch of nodes, then it won't get messy, or it'll be a lot easier to clean them up and it won't slow us down later on. And if you do have a bunch of messy nodes, you can right click and go to Line Up All Tools to Grid, and that'll line up everything, making it a lot easier to maneuver around Fusion. So I'm going to go ahead and move these just down, and then I'm going to add a text. So that's what we'll be starting with, just our normal text. And I'm actually going to make 2 texts right here with them merged together. And I will put this foreground one on the bottom, move this to the top, and I'm just going to connect this merge to the first merge. That way we can see what's on the screen. And then this first text, I'll type the modern. And then in the second one, I will type filmmaker. And I will change the position of this first one to be just above this middle one. And I'm going to scale it down. I'm just going to try to stylize this real fast. And with the filmmaker, I will choose a more modern-esque type font and then move the tracking outwards to give it more of that modern look. I can size this up a little bit. And then I'll go back to the modern text and just move this right here. Track this out a little bit and make it a little smaller. And there's an animation I want these to do at first before anything else, and that's just kind of slightly shift opposite of each other. So I'm going to keyframe this first text right at keyframe. We'll just start at 0, and I will go to the layout tab of the text, and in the center I can change the positioning and then keyframe that. So I'll make a keyframe right here at the beginning, and then I will move, let's say, all the way to 140, frame 140, even longer. Let's go to 160, and I will shift the x-axis slightly to the right, just a little bit. This way we should have this text slowly shifting to the right. I like that. It's beautiful. So one thing I am going to do is make this a little longer so it goes a little slower. I could also just shorten the amount of space that it moves, but I also want this animation just to be a little longer. And yeah, now it's a nice slow kind of shift to the right, and that ends at frame 210. So we'll need to remember that for text 2, where it says filmmaker, and I'll come back to the very beginning, go to the layout tab of the text, make a keyframe on frame 0 at the center, and then I will go to frame 210. I'm going to do this one a little differently. I'm going to make a keyframe here at 210 where the animation ends, go back to the first one, and then move the x-axis a little to the right. That way this one will push to the left. And now we should have them going opposite of each other horizontally but parallel, and it looks really, really good. Very cool. So now we're going to get into the glitching or the decoding. And in any glitch, you can use animated effects or some presets or even some fast noise or some kind of matte piece of footage that has some glitching on it to mask out things, but really that kind of gives you a lack of control. And if when you watch movies and you see, or TV shows, and you see these cool like glitches that are really original and really high quality, a lot of the time they're made just by hand, and it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long at all, but there are some elements to making it by hand that's really helpful to know, just to make your decode or your glitch seem kind of have an artistic flair to it and seem unique and really pop out. And so I'm going to just click this first text, and I will hit the mask button here, and this will give us a rectangle mask, and I will also connect it to text 2. This way anything we mask with this mask will mask both text. Very simple, very awesome. And let me move this back to 0.5. And what I'm going to do is just make this smaller. I'm going to start masking out various sections of this text by going to the width and shortening it here, and I can shorten the height if I need to. We don't really need to. And then I'll move this to the front. And that looks pretty good. And I may even move this up so it cuts off a part of the F and the I. So let me zoom in here. I'm holding the middle mouse wheel down to move around this preview window. And now I can really get in here, and boom. It looks like that F starts or kind of ends, in between. It kind of just looks like a C, which is cool. And I'll keep that there. And then I'll move this. You can move it anywhere on the screen that you want. I'm just trying to keep things clean here. I'll move this up here, and I will hit the mask button again. This will give us another mask that we have the first mask in there, and if I move this mask over, you will see that it masks things out until it gets to our first mask. That mask will just stay there with kind of just doing its own thing. So I'll move this back to the middle and start making another little shape here to mask out the next section of this word, or these words. And yeah, that's a good little section there. Just these, 6 letters. That'll work, and I can go back and make another mask here under this 1 and 2 mask. And we are already running out of space, but that's totally fine. Go to mask the rectangle 3 and make another shape. Let's see, what's not in there yet? Boom. Let's get this M and the R and the E. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go a little more detailed. Another thing with any kind of decoding, glitching, the more time you spend on it and the more detailed you are with it, the better it's going to look. You know, you guys have seen, if you search for this video or any other glitch videos, you guys can clearly see kind of what happens. The quicker it takes you to make the glitch, most likely the cheaper it's going to look. So, you know, if you take time and really mask things out, especially if you try to do it in kind of an artsy way, then you end up with an artsy glitch that looks unique and looks like it is very in-depth. Which, you know, computers are very in-depth, so you really want to mimic that. And so moving forward, I'm trying not to ramble too much because we have a lot to do here. And I will make another mask under this number 3 rectangle. And we will continue to mask out portions of this text. And with this, I'm going to get, maybe I'll just get the M. Then go through here, make another mask, and I'll get the A, and maybe I'll get the A and the K. Those two letters kind of look cool next to each other when they're alone. So I'll make another mask, and let's see. Rectangle 6, what are we missing? We are mainly missing the E and the R. So I will go ahead and make those on their own. Just to speed this up, I could, you know, chop this in half, but just to speed this up, I won't make this too complicated. Alright, I lied. I'm going to make this a little complicated just because a way we can do this and make it a little easier is if we cut off the top half of this. Move over, let's see. So we kind of have that same C again that we made with the F in the beginning. And let's go back to fit. And one more mask. Stuff is all over the place right now. Trying to keep it organized. Alright, so with mask 7, I'm going to widen the width, and I will take the height down just to get this bottom half. That way the whole bottom half of Filmmaker will be on its own mask. And then I'll go through here, and I'm going to move the levels down. Because with all these text out of the way, you know, at this point we want to animate the text coming onto the screen. And it's easiest to do that with the text out of the way, so you can kind of see what you're making as you transform it or animate it onto the screen. Boom. So we will start with, I want to start with something in the middle, actually. Kind of random, but with the glitch, I don't just kind of want it to decode on. I want it to kind of just randomly, you know, seem like a computer that's just grabbing information from all over the place, because that's kind of how hard drives and computers work. They don't just like get something in a straight line. They'll grab information from everywhere and then put something together. So I'm going to start from the middle, and we will go to keyframe 5, and I will make a keyframe at the level, because we're going to pretty much make a little glitch of this blinking onto the screen. So I will deactivate the other splines so I can just work with rectangle 4. And we see we have our keyframe here. I will hit the right arrow key to go 1 frame to the right, and then I'll turn the level all the way up. Then I will hit the right arrow key again to go 1 frame forward, and I will move the level all the way down, and then I will go 2 frames over, 1, 2, make a keyframe, one more frame to the right, and then all the way up. Then I will go over 1 frame, all the way down, over 1, 2, 3 frames, make a keyframe, one more all the way up. And then that should be good. And if you can't tell what we just did, pretty much we made a keyframe with the level, the blend, the opacity at 0. And then one keyframe, it's on. It's all the way on. Another keyframe, it's off. And then it's off for 1, 2, 3 keyframes. Then it comes back on. Then it's off for 1, 2, 3, 4 keyframes. Then it's on for another frame. And then with this, one last thing we will do, I'm going to hit this button, which is zoom to fit, which will give us all of the active keyframes. I'll put them all in the window here. Select all of these, and I'm going to press S, which will smoothen these out, because sometimes you can have really choppy glitches, you know, when you just have keyframes that just go straight up, straight down. They end up being really choppy, and with screens, usually the light level kind of comes on. So when you smoothen it out, it makes it flicker more than it does kind of sharply strobe on you. And now if we look at this, doesn't look like much yet. Boom. And we just have a simple 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very simple. And then we can easily apply this same animation to the rest of the splines by just selecting all of the current keyframes here and then hitting Control C to copy. Again, that's Control C to copy. Now we have all of these splines copied. So we can, let's choose a point where we want the next one to come in. And I'm going to go right here where this one comes in, because the first keyframe of the next thing will start at 0. And then the keyframe after that will start at full opacity. So this will kind of help these come on against each other, which is really cool. When you do a glitch, it's nice to give it like a rhythm. You know, when you have like 2 little egg shakers in your hand and you're like kind of going off rhythm with each other. We're going to try to do that same thing here, where we have these different elements of the text kind of pop in against each other and opposite of each other, which will give us a really cool rhythm to the encoder or glitch animation that we're making. So let me deactivate this one, just so we don't screw that one up, because that can be easy to do in the spline window, especially when it's this small. And from here, I will go to, let's go straight to this first one. And I will make a keyframe right here. Boom. Then I can simply right-click where this keyframe is with number 1 selected, rectangle 1 selected. Right-click and paste points and value. Boom. Now we've got another glitch that's happening kind of offset to our first one. Yeah, very cool. So we will come in here, and that is kind of the same technique that I'm going to be using for the rest of these. So I'm going to go to, see, this one comes on, half the M comes on, the beginning comes on. Then after this one, I'm going to go to, let's say, I'm trying to be random, so I want to go maybe close to where the last one was, but not the last one. So we're at rectangle 4. We'll go to 5. I will deactivate this, get it out of our way, and then make another keyframe here. Then I can go to rectangle 5, right click this keyframe, paste points and value, and voila. Like, see this rhythm that we're making here? Really cool, really cool. And see what I mean? It's like, it's hard to find a pre-made animation or get like some kind of noise effect, or even if you go into like the TV or film simulators in the effects in Davinci Resolve, it's hard to get like a really cool offset kind of animation like that. A lot of the time you're just going to get some kind of random seed animation that you really can't dictate how it's going to come on the screen. So this gives you a lot of control to make something really unique and really cool and really like customized to you and your style. So I will deactivate this, and let's see, come somewhere in here. And I will go to, let's say, let's go to number 3. I'll make a keyframe here, select number 3 in the spline window, right click, and paste points and values. So now we have a ton of things coming on. Very cool. I like that. And then we can come down to, let's say, which one have we not got to yet? Let's go to number 2, and let's go before anything, actually. We'll make this one the first stinking one. Deactivate this third one. Make a keyframe for number 2 at the level. Right click. Paste points and values. Oh, sick. See, it's almost like one of those cool, like, signs. Some of those, like, I forget what they call them. Are they like the fluorescent lighting signs or whatever? Very cool. I like it. So from here, we will go on and do the same for 6. Let's go like right here. And level. Get off number 2. And paste points and values. Boom, 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 boom. And then number 6 real quick. Number 6 is going to come right around, right where number 6 started. Number 7, I mean. So right here, I'm going to hit the level. And with number 7 selected, right click and paste points and values. Whoops. The spline window and the cut and paste, or copy and paste, can be very weird. And sometimes, like what just happened, let me Control Z so you guys can see. Oh, it's not going to show you guys. Never mind. There it is. So, for some reason, I right-clicked on this keyframe. You guys saw me do that. But for some reason, even though number 6 is deactivated, it put extra points on number 6. So watch out for that, because that could, just one of those, one misslip like that could just screw up all the animations, and you're like, what the heck is going on? So with those gone, and number 6 gone, I'm going to go straight to number 7. Go to this keyframe, I'll click that, right click, paste points and values. Now, there we go. Yeah, now that looks really good. Yeah. It's almost like I don't know, but I like that. I like it. So, I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to group these masks. I just hit right, I selected them all, hit right click, and then went to group. Now it's telling me to ungroup or expand group if I want to check them out. But for now, they're cool grouped. And that gives us a lot of space to work with. And I'm going to move all this stuff over here. And then from here, we're going to do something kind of unusual. Let's see. And one thing is, here's a little pro tip. I should have used the transform to shift my text position, because now they're being affected by the mask. So learn from my mistakes. I should have used the transform tool. So for now, I'm going to go to these keyframes in the positioning, and I'm going to delete them. I'm going to delete the ending keyframes. In both of these. So those keyframes made it 210. I'm getting rid of those for now. And then I'll close this, and we can go ahead and do what I should have done in the beginning, which would be click on this, click on the text 2, hit the transform, should be right here, And you can do the same for text 1, transform. This way, it will move with the masks, which is kind of crazy, but it actually does work. So, if I make a keyframe at the very beginning, center, go to 210, keyframe there. I can go back to number 1 and shove this over to the left. Go to transform, 210, make a keyframe, go back to the beginning, make a keyframe, and move the beginning over to the right. Boom. Should give us the same exact effect that we had made before. Voila. Very cool. But now the masks do not affect the text at all, outside that beginning animation. So from here, we're going to add some more glitch-like effects, some more computer-type effects. And the first one we're going to add is a prism blur. So you can hit, I think it's space, shift, whoops. Yep, to bring up the, it is shift space. Don't press space shift, shift space. And it'll bring up the search, and you can type in prism blur, hit add, and it'll plop this on the screen, and we can now shove this in between our merge 2 and our merge 1. And it'll give us this here little effect, which is really cool already, and it's really useful when the glitch is happening, but I want it to go away once the word is actually on the screen. So I'm going to go to right here, right before the last bit of it comes on, and hit the blur, or actually the abrasion strength. I'm going to move the blur strength. Yeah, I'll do the blur strength also. I'm going to get rid of all these other ones in the spline window, because the spline window can get super messy. Now we have our prism blur with our keyframes, and I'm going to move these both down to 0 in blur strength, aberration strength, and go back to the beginning, close to the beginning, maybe keyframe 7 or 8. And I'll move this up. And the blur I'll move up also. Not too much, just a little. Yeah, it's fine there. Let's see. Here's distance. That's kind of cool too. And now it's got a little more style, but it looks a little more filmy than it does computery, and I want it to look a little more computer-esque. So I'm going to right-click, go to Insert Tool. You could also search for this. I'm going to the blur and mosaic blur, which is in the Resolve FX blur. And this will give us more of, let's see, this will give us more of a computer type effect. If we crank that up a good bit. We don't really want to smoothen this at all. Leave that right where it is. This can stay at black also. And now, and then we'll also want to keyframe this to turn off. So if we go to the blend, keyframe, actually we can keyframe this on and off, which would look a lot better. So I will keyframe this on right where it is, turn the prism blur off, go forward a few keyframes, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, turn it off, 1, 2, 3, actually just 1, 2, turn it on, 1, 2, 3, turn it off, 1, turn it on, 1, turn it off. Now, very cool. And I'm actually going to turn down this prism blur distance, because it's going a little crazy. And I know this may not look like much yet, but we have not gotten to the real winner effect here. Boom. So what I'm going to do from here is add a duplicate. And a duplicate is a really cool way to have things kind of jump out in Z space, or left or right, and I'll show you guys what I mean. Right click, insert tool, effects, duplicate. And with the duplicate, we could make 3 copies instead of 2. And pretty much that means that it's just got 3 copies stacked on top of each other right here, instead of just 1. And if I pivot this, whoops, not pivot, but center. If I center this, you can see it pushes the other copies to the left or to the right, whichever way I want to go, or up and down. Which, with something like this, that could look really, really sick. See where I'm going with this? Yeah. But I want to keep these right where they were at 0.5. And I'm going to go to the size. Push these towards us. I'll move the pivot down like this. Now you guys see we're getting a much more glitchy encoder type situation here. And this is really the thing that kind of, it's the icing on the cake. This is the thing that really turns it into what it becomes. And let me see. I'll leave the center where it was. Keep that size there. And there's a few cool things you can do. If you put this down to 2.10, then you have like a low opacity, a high opacity, and then you have your normal opacity back in the back. But for me, I'm just going to go to 3, and then I'm going to turn the blend down. This way we have very light opacity in the front. We have about half opacity in the midway back, and then our original text is just normal. Now the glitch should look crazy. Yeah, it looks insane. So first of all, we'll need to turn this off at some point. So we'll need to keyframe that. So I'm going to turn the mosaic blur off so we don't mess that up. I'll shorten all these. Go to that duplicate. And let's see. I will go to the blend towards the end. Hit a keyframe. 1 frame over. Turn it off. And I might even make it back here. I might even make it turn off back here. Keyframe there, go to our first keyframe, and then delete that. Yeah, that way it kind of gets smaller. It kind of fades out. It almost like it jumps out at you, but then they kind of pull back as the word forms. Yes, yes. God, that's sick. That is sick. And I used this same technique all over my intro. I mean, this is like kind of the foundation of what created my intro, is this effect. And it's doing this and then adding more glitches and more like distorted effects on top of that that made it what it became. But this is like the foundation of what made, you know, the Modern Filmmaker logo and all the text jump forward and backwards, and really kind of seem really sporadic but yet well planned. Boom. Very cool. So there's another thing we can do with this, which is awesome. If we come to, let's say, the first time it pops on the screen, boom, you can see that the first thing that comes on is this mask we had towards the middle of the text. And it's, you know, it's got the original one, the one in front of that, and you can pretty much see all 3 copies. In every frame, you can see all 3 copies, which is not in particularly what I want. I want it to be a little more random than that. So I'll come back to the duplicate and just hit the time offset. This literally offsets the time of each copy. So what I really want to do is have the furthest one to us, or the closest one to us, the closest one to us come up first. So let's see. There we go. Actually, I can live with like that. That's cool. Okay. There we go. See, now it's a lot more random. it seems like it's just grabbing random things at random times. But we still have the same rhythm of the animation we made. Sick. So sick. Now you have that, and we have the opacity on the background turned all the way down, so you could easily just drag that in to your timeline and start working. You know, if you had some footage under here, obviously, that would be a little more beneficial. But now we have our full glitch effect right here in the timeline, and it's that simple. I hope you liked this video. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys find ways to take these techniques and turn them to stuff that I never even thought of. And if you guys did like the video, definitely make sure to click the like button. And if you didn't like the video, click the like button anyway. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comment section down below. I always reply. Make sure to subscribe. And as always, I'm Marcel, and this has been The Modern Filmmaker. And I will see y'all next time. Peace.